Chosen one, this moment is not a coincidence. Your soul was drawn to this video because the heavens whispered the same message to you 7 times. The number 1111 didn't appear before your eyes for nothing, and the prayers of 33 prophets did not fall upon you by chance. You are one of the 144,000 chosen, and your presence here is a divine sign. This message was sent to awaken the secret that has been resting within your heart. What you are about to hear are not just words, but divine vibrations that will sink deep into your soul. If these words are touching you, leave your heart in the comments so the heavens can witness your testimony. Because when you write, another soul will awaken. Now prepare yourself, for this video will illuminate your path. Those who recognize the signs of God know that nothing is random. That's why your being here is already a miracle. Family, our voice is rising. We are walking toward our first 1,000 subscribers. If this message speaks to you, press like, subscribe to Chosen Archangel, and comment, "I'm part of this mission." God is carrying you from the pit to the palace, chosen one. As your life is about to unfold, your enemies will be forced to reevaluate their beliefs about spiritual warfare, divine justice, and the unstoppable power of heaven's favor when it decides to act on behalf of someone who has been buried alive but has refused to stop breathing. So you better prepare yourself. I can hardly control the vision that is burning in my spirit right now because it shows me something so strong and earth-shaking. I see you emerging from places that ought to have been your tomb and leaving circumstances that were intended to be the last chapter of your life. The same people who rejoiced over what they believed to be your demise are going to see something that will shatter their conception of the cosmos and haunt their dreams. God is going to show you that every hole in the kingdom is actually a launching pad to a palace, even if they tossed you into one. Is it stirring in your bones at the moment? It's that restless energy that keeps you from giving up. Desperation is not what that is. That is the awakening of destiny. Heaven has been getting ready for a coronation while your foes have been celebrating, believing they have finally hushed the voice that challenged their little kingdoms. Something they cannot understand has been fed by the very earth they believed would engulf you. They are not scheming against you. They unintentionally sowed you in the very soil that will yield their worst nightmare. Your whole and absolute triumph. The attacks were not arbitrary, nor were they the result of small-time jealousies or personal grievances. No, principalities and powers who recognize something in your soul that even you may not fully understand yet created this planned warfare. Before you knew you were a member of the royal family, they saw the crown. Before you knew that you were homeless by choice rather than by accident, they had located the palace. Every planned attack on your personality, every methodical breakdown of your support networks, and every deliberate effort to separate you from your mission. These weren't just human beings acting out of injured feelings. The goal of this spiritual intelligence operation was to stop a fate that would have threatened the fundamental roots of evil in this world. Heaven's courts are already preparing the documentation. Blood that dried 2,000 years ago was used to sign the documents for your vindication. Angels with expertise in judicial administration are cataloging the evidence locker that contains all of the attacks against you. With uncanny accuracy, every private betrayal, public humiliation, and whispered lie has been documented. Even the top lawyers in the world are encouraging their clients to ask for compassion since the prosecution's case against your adversaries is so strong. What will make their judgment even more horrifying, though, is this. Justice won't be demanded by you. The cosmos itself has taken a personal stake in your recovery. They fail to remember that the same God who permits burial also plans resurrection. They were actually covering a seed that becomes stronger under pressure with each shovel of soil they tossed at you. In reality, every falsehood they disseminated about your personality was sowing the seeds for a testimony so potent that it will turn your adversaries into believers in divine justice. They were actually writing your introduction to a world that hasn't witnessed what God can accomplish through someone who has experienced hell and returned with fire in their eyes, even if they mistakenly believed they were writing your obituary. They calculated that your last breath should have been the first one you took after they believed you were done breathing. But ever since, every breath has been resisting their manipulation, their spells, and their well-planned attempt to drain your vitality. You established a brief, deliberate, and purposeful breathing pattern in the dark that went beyond simple survival. It served as practice for speaking with authority that can make mountains move and demons run. The same breath that sustained you in that oppressive setting will soon make statements so potent that they will alter the spiritual climate across your entire family. You weren't punished by the seclusion you've experienced. It was getting ready. You were in the university of the depths, studying lessons that can only be taught in the dark, and building spiritual muscles that can only be developed under the strain of impossible circumstances, while they were celebrating your seeming destruction. It felt merciful to terminate it every night you lived. You made the decision to breathe each morning even if it felt like a betrayal of your own suffering. Every time you clung to your faith in the face of proof that God had forsaken you. You weren't weak in these ways. These exhibits of superhuman power were being fashioned in the furnace of your suffering. That underground classroom's curriculum was created especially for someone who was destined to govern areas that were too difficult for lesser people to manage. First lesson, how to stay sane while everyone else seems to have lost it. The second lesson is how to maintain your heart's tenderness when everything around you appears intent on turning it into stone. Lesson 3, how to speak the truth when honesty is being penalized and lies are being rewarded. Lesson 4, when you've only ever experienced conditional love, learn how to love without conditions. These experiences weren't arbitrary. These seminars were advanced studies in kingdom leadership. And you achieved distinction in each and every exam. You didn't cry in defeat when you cried in private. Everything that wouldn't help you in the mansion God has been building washed away in those tears of preparation. When your voice was too broken to speak out loud, you prayed in a whisper, but it wasn't being heard. They were being documented in the archives of heaven as proof that you were eligible for a promotion that would surprise everyone who believed they were aware of your limitations. It wasn't retribution for the restless nights. They were downloaded. While your conscious mind was too overloaded to stop the process, divine information was being sent to your spirit. Plans for as yet unfounded firms were included in those downloads. Innovations that will revolutionize industries, solutions to unidentified issues, and wisdom that will advise monarchs and presidents. In reality, the torture-like insomnia was your soul remaining awake to receive classified information that would have overwhelmed you in the open. The nightmare-like dreams were actually foretellings of the wars you would win, the lands you would seize, and the triumphs that would make you famous in places where your name hasn't even been given yet. In the spiritual world, something that has been suppressed until now is unleashing itself as the seasons change. The same lips that brought you into the world is going to send your adversaries into a state of full and dizzying uncertainty that will make them doubt their own sanity. Every whispered promise that kept you going through the valley of shadows is about to be publicly validated by the same hands that shaped you in private. Your circumstances won't gradually improve as a result of this. Every natural law they believed they understood will be broken by this supernatural acceleration. Your emergence has been timed with such accuracy that it would seem to be out of sync with atomic clocks. In reality, every delay that annoyed you was divine choreography, guaranteeing that the greatest number of witnesses would be there to bear witness to what only God could have planned when you rose. In reality, every door that shut in your face was being sealed off to make you go via the single door that leads straight to your throne room. In reality, every rejection you encountered served as a safeguard against connections that would have restricted your ability to accept the boundless favor that is about to pour into your life. The castle that is being built for you is more than just a symbol of brighter times to come. Anyone who knew the person who was buried in that pit will not recognize the person who enters those doors because this is a literal alteration of your reality that is so thorough and all-encompassing. Your finances, your connections, your prospects, your power, your tranquility, your physical well-being, your family dynamics, and your position in the workforce. Every like is a light. Every comment is a testimony. Every subscription is a voice added to the 1,000 we are reaching for. Be one of them today. Compound interest will soon repair every region they targeted, making their initial attack appear like a favor they did for your future. If measured in earthly currency, the resources being allotted for your healing would be enough to bankrupt small nations. If billionaires could see the portfolio being handled on your behalf, they would be envious of the investment heaven made in your comeback. Not yet public names are among the relationships being set up for your next chapter. unannounced opportunities and connections that will appear unattainable until they materialize in your life. When the favor is ready for you to unleash, it will open doors that were made to react exclusively to your unique spiritual frequency and don't even have handles. However, your achievement won't be the worst blow to their dignity. They will come to understand that they never fought you. They were engaged in combat with the divinity that is within you. Additionally, each weapon they created against his preferred vessel simply increased your bloodline's blessings. Every curse they hurled at you only made more good luck come your way. Every malicious scheme they devised behind your back only gave them permission to add more angels to your protection detail. They believed they were burying someone, but in reality, they were putting the universe's creator to the test in a fight they would never prevail in. In courtrooms they cannot see, before juries they cannot bribe, and in front of juries they cannot threaten. The spiritual surveillance film of their campaign against you has been playing repeatedly. Their consciences have become prosecution witnesses due of the overwhelming evidence. Their victims' testimonies have generated so many demands for justice that heaven had to send extra processing angels to handle the volume of cases. The decision was already made. They have already decided on the sentencing. The execution will soon begin. With the certainty of dawn, the time of your emergence is drawing near. And the shock waves will reverberate through all realms, both natural and supernatural, when that time comes. Those who dismissed you will rush to change history and say they always had faith in you. Platforms that won't let you use their stage will grovel for your presence. Just to allow you to enter, the establishments who locked you out will remodel their doors. The glory that emanates from your own presence will cause those who were unable to recognize your value to suddenly suffer spiritual cataracts. Their lies will never spread as quickly as the news of your resurrection. Their slander will never be as widely circulated as the record of your vindication. Their ridicule will never be as loud as the celebration of your restoration. Their charges will never be as compelling as the evidence of your anointing. Your testimony will be presented on every platform they used against you. With your clear blessing, every voice they used to try to ruin you will be silenced. There is more to this reversal than simply getting back what was taken from you. This is about exposing your true self beneath the mask they put on your identity. All of the unfounded charges they leveled against your character were actually prophecies about their own fate. In reality, every restriction they attempted to impose on your potential described their own ceiling. Every party they threw in response to your seeming demise was really a funeral they were organizing for their own significance in your narrative. Your reputation in heaven is enough collateral for the contracts being signed in your name right now, so you are not needed. Because your future was predetermined before the earth was even created, the agreements being negotiated on your behalf do not require your consent. Your assignment has been known from the day you were born, so you don't need to contribute to the partnerships that are being set up for your benefit. Your purpose was funded before time even began, so you don't need to sign off on the investments being made in your future. The breathing methods you learned when you were being suffocated. You developed your faith muscles throughout the famine. The wisdom you acquired while lying. The endurance you developed while you waited. These were more than survival abilities. Because someone who is going to be in power needs to know how to perform under pressure that would crush most people, these palace protocols were downloaded into your soul. You were never going to the pit. You were the one who prepared it. Your story did not end with the burial. It was the start of you. You're already making the phone calls that will alter your life. They're already writing the emails that will change your course. The discussions that will lead to unattainable opportunities are currently being planned. Meetings are already being set up that will change your world. Your unique gifts and calling are already being tailored to create chances that will be beyond your greatest dreams. Already, funds from accounts you were unaware existed are being used to make the provision that will humiliate your past poverty. When the same people who were unable to answer your calls are suddenly unable to reach you due to your new number being enlisted, observe how the roles are reversed. See how the same people who didn't care about your difficulties now had all day to justify their claim to your achievement. Observe how, once they understand that their own visions have no chance of surviving unless they are close to your anointing, the same voices who propagate falsehoods about your character will vie to communicate the truth about your magnificence. They will convince themselves that they were genuinely assisting you all along since the reversal is so thorough. They will rewrite their own recollections to portray themselves as supporters rather than saboteurs because the change is so dramatic. They will say they spotted your potential when they were really trying to destroy it since the transformation is so clear. They will try to claim credit for the very breakthrough they aim to stop because the vindication is so widely known. The sound of those hinges moving is producing a frequency that is upsetting the tranquility of everyone who counted you out, and the palace doors are already opening. The long-awaited throne is now prepared for its rightful occupant. The same hands that kept you going through every attempt to ruin your destiny are ready to place the crown that was made just for your head there. For your coronation ceremony, the scepter that will grant you control over lands you have never even set foot on is being polished. Angels that specialize in apparel that symbolizes inner grandeur created the royal attire that is being fitted for your installation. In dimensions where anguish turns into power and sorrow into beauty, the jewels put in your crown were extracted from quarries. There are chambers in the palace that is being prepared for your dwelling for uses you haven't even yet realized, as well as facilities for tasks you aren't even aware you have been called to. Experts in fields of excellence you haven't even investigated yet are among the personnel being gathered for your service. Justice will hunt them out, so you won't need to seek retribution. Their own deeds will speak for them, so you won't have to reveal their wrongdoing. Your promotion will speak louder than their allegations ever could, so you won't have to defend your reputation. Your task will show your value to everyone who can see it, so you won't need to prove it. The postponed justice has not been denied. Interest in accounts run by angels with expertise in compound vengeance has been growing. The long-awaited vindication is on the verge of coming with such power that it will set a precedent for how heaven will treat cases like this in the future. The seemingly inconceivable restoration will soon serve as a model for how God brings the virtuous back to life under difficult conditions. Every dead scenario in your lineage will now be given life by the same breath that kept you alive in the pit. Mountains that have stood in the way of your family's success for generations will now be lifted by the same faith that got you through the funeral. Now, everything that belongs in your life will be drawn to it, while everything that doesn't serve your highest benefit will be repelled by the same love that kept you together when everything else was falling apart. The depth of your dedication during the trial has shattered the generational curses that they believed they were reinforcing by attacking you. The strength of your faith under duress has broken the seemingly indestructible familial patterns. The strength of your praise in the pit has dispelled the bloodline restrictions that seemed irreversible. The authority you earned in the depths has destroyed the hereditary limitations that seemed to last forever. Hello, this is Ari and Mike. Interrupting for a brief period of time your regularly scheduled favorite programming. We are the creators of the Astral Atom Network and the chosen Archangel Inner Order. We've finished being polite. Our battle is a spiritual one. You are aware of it. We are aware of it. And we are dedicated to this mission full-time. We need the ammunition, but I'm craving the blood of a fourth-dimensional archon. Listen, you're doing more than simply helping us when you join the Inner Order. They never intended for you to have access to these special tools. Training in psychic self-defense, focused personal intelligence, and spiritual warfare techniques they scrape from the internet. And we only meet with selected individuals on Zoom once a week in secret. Your clique is not small, it is part of a movement. Help us reach 1,000 voices by subscribing, liking, and leaving your word of faith in the comments. Real Nazis, real family, and real power, no filters or filler. It's a complete victory. You obtain what you require. We are allowed to continue fighting. So, instead of just watching, give this video a like and tell everyone you know about it. Join the Inner Order of Chosen Archangel now. Let's complete the task at hand. The description contains a link. Let's go crazy. Remember that your journey from the pit to the palace is more than just your own triumph as this metamorphosis quickens. For every other chosen person who is buried today, wondering if God remembers their address, it serves as a prophetic demonstration. Their hope is your resurrection. Their affirmation that no weapon created against the righteous will succeed is your justification. Every pit has an expiration date, and your palace is evidence of that. Angels assigned to comparable instances in heaven will be forced to read the guidebook being written concerning your resurrection. When other chosen ones are seeking justice in spiritual courts, the testimony being gathered regarding your transformation will be used as precedent. The paperwork that is being prepared on your vindication will serve as proof that the law of gravity is not as trustworthy as God's promises. The forest that transforms the terrain of all they believed they controlled is going to emerge from the seeds they believed they were burying. The voice they attempted to muffle is soon to speak with a level of authority that will be acknowledged by nations. For those who have been stumbling in the dark, the light they tried to put out is about to shine so brightly that it illuminates the way. This completes the circle. Your resurrection to a life they could never have imagined concludes what started as their attempt to bury you alive. When they see your coronation, what began as their celebration of your annihilation comes to an end. When they acknowledge your divine appointment, what began as their faith in your defeat ends. The palace where you will rule with unrestricted power is built on the foundation of the pit they dug with such malevolent purpose. The air pressure surrounding those who planned your demise is already being disturbed by the frequency of your metamorphosis. They are suffering from inexplicable anxiety, insomnia brought on by incomprehensible visions, and an increasing feeling that a profound change has occurred in the spiritual world. Their pride keeps them from admitting what their spirits already know, that their own weapons are turning against them with such accuracy that they are starting to question supernatural intervention. Heaven itself got into a quarrel with them. The foundation of their meticulously crafted lies is crumbling under the weight of the unabated truth. As each person starts to experience their own personal visitation from unanticipated consequences, the network of others they enlisted to speak out against you is disintegrating. As wonders and indications start to appear around your name in ways that defy their attempts at logical explanation, the basis of their confidence is crumbling. Observe how once close allies turn into faraway strangers. Their mouths get dry and their tongues get thick as they start to say your name. Observe how discussions about you produce an uncomfortable quiet that makes spaces so tense that breathing becomes challenging. Even if they will never acknowledge the cause of their disruption, notice how their sleep becomes restless and how their nightmares are filled with judgmental visions that cause them to wake up in a cold sweat. Generational blessings flow toward righteousness, not away from it, as the children and grandchildren they attacked you to protect are going to discover. Bloodlines that respect divine justice are going to inherit the legacy they believed they were protecting by destroying you. In accordance with celestial mathematics that rejects worldly claims founded on deceit and manipulation, the inheritance they believe to be safe in their family trees is set to be redistributed. In locations where they have been stagnant for years, your enemy's family members will start to make progress. However, their success will only be contingent upon their public admission of wrongdoing and repentance after they have separated from the poisonous influence that linked them to your persecution. Their commitment to atone for the harm their loved ones caused to someone whom heaven deems precious will be a direct determinant of their prosperity. As soon as your breakthrough accelerates, the companies that were founded on corruption will find that their profit margins start to decrease. Their financial advisors will be unable to explain the losses from the investments they made with money taken from your destiny. They will have unnoticed provisions in the contracts they signed to safeguard their future that only come into effect when their victims are validated by God. Since their roots are spiritual rather than physical, the health problems that start to show up in their bodies won't go away with medical intervention. Since unrepented sin, not a breakdown in communication, is the root cause of the interpersonal issues that begin to manifest in their personal life, they will be resistant to counseling. Therapy won't solve the mental uncertainty that increasingly impairs their decision-making because it stems from heavenly judgment rather than a psychological disorder. While judgment comes to their camps, your region is flooded with so much unheard of favor that you will need to increase your ability to receive it. The abundance and value of the benefits being bestowed upon you will be so great that you will need a team of experts simply to handle the excess. You will be presented with opportunities more quickly than you can comprehend them, necessitating a level of insight that is beyond the realm of ordinary human comprehension. There are chambers in the palace that is being readied for your dwelling that are intended for uses you haven't even considered yet. Instead of using electrical currents, the technology in the throne room where you will hold court uses faith frequencies. Because its value surpasses material worth, the treasury houses wealth that cannot be valued in terms of traditional currency. Angels wrote the books in the library, documenting every instance of your fidelity during the most trying times. The garden around your palace produces flowers that emit scents that can dismantle demonic strongholds and fruit that cures generational scars. The water features flow with streams that deliver predictions to far-off places where your faithfulness during your trial will lead to breakthroughs for individuals you'll never meet. The same hole where you learn to breathe underwater and praise under pressure is where the foundation stones were excavated. Angels who specialized in guarding you throughout your funeral season are among the staff members assigned to work in your palace. They have now been elevated to honorable posts in your royal household. Principalities who were personally offended by the attacks on you have volunteered to be permanently assigned to your security detail, which is now in charge of protecting you. Supernatural sources are now part of the intelligence network that supports your operation, keeping an eye on risks before they materialize and eliminating opposition before it organizes. The concepts taught in the educational system being developed in your territory will change societies and produce generations of people who are aware of their divine identity from birth. Your jurisdiction's economic policies will show how kingdom principles generate wealth without the need for coercion or exploitation. The legal system that functions under your direction will serve as an example of how divine law fosters peace by righteousness as opposed to terror via punishment. Your palace's power will spread to areas where no one has ever heard your name. And the God who brought you out of the abyss will be praised in languages you have never heard. The choices made in your throne room will affect countries whose rulers are unaware that wisdom is influencing them through spiritual pathways they are unable to see. Your prayer tower's prayers will change the atmosphere over places you've never been and dismantle strongholds that have withstood religious endeavors for many generations. Anyone who is exposed to the artistic expressions emanating from your castle will experience a healing of trauma. The frequencies found in the music created under your support will reconnect human hearts with heavenly objectives. The literature that is released as a result of your influence will contain revelations that change people's perspectives and restore thought processes that have been tainted by lies passed down through generations. The global community of chosen ones will experience mass resurrections, with your personal change serving as the model. Similar operations are planned for others who have been buried alive by hostile plans, using the same procedures that were utilized to restore your life as a template. Your vindication timeline sets the stage for justice movements that will confront systemic oppression across all societal sectors. Millions of people who believed their circumstances were hopeless are encouraged by the new genre of prophetic writing that is being created by the witness that comes from your experience. The word spreads through you. Share this video, subscribe to Chosen Archangel, and let us rise together until we hit 1,000. Anybody called to leadership in these times must read the account of your journey from pit to palace. Your Resurrection Days video footage is preserved as proof that God's promises are still relevant today. The grief in hell over their botched mission is overshadowed by the joy in heaven over your appearance. Guests who have been waiting for this very win for generations are present at the celebration being held in your honor. The music performed during your coronation was written before time existed, just for this moment when a certain chosen one would emerge from a particular hole to claim a particular palace that was created for a particular reason that would affect forever. The gems in the crown that is being placed on your head were created from the tears you shed in private, while no one else was around to see your suffering. When your voice was too damaged to speak out loud, you mumbled prayers, which were used to weave the robe that was wrapped over your shoulders. The faith you held when there was indications that God had forgotten your address was used to make the scepter that was placed in your grasp. Greetings on this day of your resurrection, selected one. The grave robes are sliding off the chosen one. They've rolled the stone away. Additionally, the same force that revived the dead is currently at work in your life. From now on, everything that was intended to destroy you becomes the basis for your testimony itself. The pit has done its job. Heaven itself is preparing to celebrate the restoration of royalty to their rightful seat, and the palace is calling your name. Chosen one, remember this, heaven never sends a word without purpose. If this message has stirred your spirit, let it shine brighter. Press like so the light spreads to others walking in darkness. Subscribe to Chosen Archangel so you never miss the next divine revelation. And share your thoughts in the comments below. Your testimony may be the very spark that awakens another soul. Until we meet again, stay covered by the wings of heaven and walk boldly in your calling.